Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content. Yes, we are back again with some rSlash NeckbeardStories. Oh, the cringe might be too much, but you know, we gotta do it. This is all part of my due diligence to make the world a better place. So without any further delay, let's jump right into these stories. High school neckbeard takes online roleplay too far. Online roleplay. Great. I'd like to apologize for any formatting errors. I don't post on Reddit that much, but after all the joy this subreddit has given me, I thought it was time to give back and share my own neckbeard story about a very unique classmate that I had. We'll call him Frederick. Frederick is an enigma, and my time in high school with him was unforgettable. To explain his appearance is simple enough. He was tall, easily over 6 feet, on the chubbier side with small glasses. He constantly wore stainless steel rings with leering demonic faces on them, which left green stains on his porcelain skin. Well, then they weren't stainless steel, were they? Though he was only a teenager, his jet black hair was already turning white in spots, along with a healthy smattering of dandruff. Ugh. He lumbered awkwardly, as if he was not yet used to his great stature. And his oversized clothes smelled of cigarettes despite the fact that he didn't smoke. Oh, his parents probably did. The neckbeard itself was only symbolic, as all he managed to grow were a few translucent hairs on his chin. That's okay, OP, it's the neckbeard on the inside that counts. I believe the most efficient way to describe Frederick any further is just to list some of his weirder behaviors. To my knowledge, he drank somewhere around 2 liters of Diet Pepsi per day. Jesus. He would keep multiple six-packs at room temperature in his locker. He would eat upwards of 4 bowls of instant ramen for lunch every day. I think the most I saw him consume in one sitting was 6, with the exception of the one time he was spotted eating a massive turkey leg. God, this guy's kidneys are going to shut down at 30. He was really into Phoenix Wright. He wanted to be a lawyer despite knowing little to nothing about the law, and would shout "Objection!" at us when he didn't actually have any objections. He played Dungeons and Dragons with my friend and I, and despite being on his phone most of the time, he got very upset when his healer didn't do as much damage as the offensive classes. He refused to play anything else because he didn't know how to make a character, and was not interested in learning. While in this D&D group, he stole dice constantly, both from stores and his fellow players. He wasn't exactly a master thief and would eventually give them back, but never admitted to stealing them in the first place. He clearly believed he was a skilled combatant and would frequently perform Tai Chi style warm-up moves, and would then beckon his would-be opponents. No one ever took him up on it. His knowledge of geography was severely lacking. He thought South America was Europe and that France was a country in Paris. What? He once wore a shirt with a suspicious white stain. It could have been detergent, but his overreaction when we jokingly asked if it was semen suggested otherwise. He was also really into Yu-Gi-Oh! And still plays in tournaments. I'm told he did not believe in the heart of the cards and wasn't very good. I guess that's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference I don't get. I was a Pokemon kid, sorry. But from my perspective, the key to understanding Frederick was through my friend Alan. It is debatable between neckbeard scholars, but it is my belief that Frederick truly wanted to be Alan. When they first met in the 8th grade, Frederick simply wished to tease him and call him slurs, which Alan didn't mind. But as time went on, the infatuation, the obsession, grew. And if we view Frederick's behaviors as a warped reflection of Alan's, the pieces all start to fall into place. Oh, this is CSI level. I love it. But why Alan? I don't know if even Frederick could tell you. You have to understand, Alan was hardly the high school quarterback the whole school fawned over, or the super popular kid that everyone knew. He's very smart and definitely popular among his friends, but he's pretty much just on the nerdier side of average. Any outsider would certainly see him as normal. Perhaps it was that normalcy that Frederick was searching for, that ability to blend into the crowd, but being Frederick, he simply couldn't help himself. Alan had ramen for lunch every day, so Frederick had 3. Alan liked Yu-Gi-Oh!, so Frederick started playing in tournaments. Alan played D&D, so Frederick had to as well, even if he didn't really care for it. This was strange and often frustrating for Alan, but things got even more tense when Alan got a girlfriend. Emily was Frederick's chosen milady. Perhaps he truly loved her, despite having little in common, but I believe it was the fact that she was with Alan which drew him to her. When she turned him down, he tried to woo a few other girls with gifts of junk food, but he always seemed to come back to Emily. Now that we have sufficiently introduced what Frederick is like as a person, we can get into the event that shook 2 friend groups to the core, and even got the school administration involved. The Lucy saga. Around grade 11 or 12, Frederick started really getting into online role-playing over Discord. Unlike D&D, this role-playing allowed for powerful, moody anime characters and heavy overtones of eroticism. My friends and I thought it was funny, and he was more than happy to let us sit in while he feverishly typed overdramatic plot arcs on the library computers. It quickly became clear that there was another level of role-playing at play, however. Unbeknownst to the other members of his online circle, Frederick had become Lucy, a first-year accounting student who enjoyed pretending to be an anime girl online with her fellow weebs. When questioned, Frederick denied being Lucy, even though we could clearly see him typing out her messages. To combat this, Frederick introduced Lucy's cousin, Big Freddy, who he would type for when we were watching him, except we could see him logging in and out to talk to himself as Lucy. Big Freddy. This is getting weird, man. Eyebrows were raised even further when we realized Lucy was in a relationship with a young man named Todd. Obviously, this was kind of a lame thing to do to someone, but what got me was the fact that Frederick wouldn't admit to those who knew him in real life that he was catfishing. For some reason, he felt the desire to rope my friends and I into his scheme. This could not stand. Frederick had slipped up once. At this point, I suspect he truly believed that Lucy existed. He had catfished even himself. And so one day at the library computers, he saw no problem showing me a picture of her in cosplay. When I got home that day, I sent a message to Lucy. My other friends had tried to oust her as a fake, but they never had my patience. If I could just get my hands on that picture he'd shown me, I could do a Google reverse image search on it, and I could finally prove what I already knew. I tried asking directly, but was met with a strange excuse about a missing phone. I had to find the picture myself, but first I dug a little. For some reason, Lucy felt the need to add in even more details. She insisted the DeviantArt account that the photo belonged to was rarely used, and mentioned that one of the members on the photo had died. Upon finding the picture on the first page of Google Images, I could confirm that not only were both of these statements false, but the actual model in the photos was Italian. Lucy was supposed to be Canadian. However, I needed this case to be airtight. Lucy could always deny the picture, so I sent off a copy of the image to Todd, Lucy's digital lover. "Is this Lucy?" I asked, after applying the appropriate tact, of course. He began typing, then paused. "I think so. She's hard to recognize in cosplay," he said. Then he sent me a series of photos Frederick hadn't dared to show me because I would have recognized them in an instant as Sandra, sister of his true love, Emily. My friends and I broke the news to Todd via Discord message, and though we asked that he keep our identities under wraps, it was clear that Frederick knew when we saw him at school the next day. He did not attend classes or speak to anyone. His day was spent on the library computers trying to make amends while staring daggers at us whenever we crossed his path. So cold was his demeanor that not even his teachers dared approach or ask what he was doing. His online friends eventually took him back, though things were never the same between him and Todd. After an awkward conversation which involved several poor attempts at flirting, Todd was able to tell Sandra how her pictures were being used. She contacted the school and Frederick was suspended for 2 weeks. Wild. There are many Frederick stories worth remembering, but nothing compares to the twists and turns of the Lucy saga. It's been a while since anyone's heard from him, but last time we met, Frederick seemed in high spirits. He's got a, hopefully real, online girlfriend, works at Subway, and may or may not smoke a lot of weed. If you're out there, I wish you the best. None of us were our best selves in high school after all. TLDR. The part in the story that probably makes me the saddest is, Todd tried to shoot his shot with the actual girl who was in the pictures. He's like, "Hey Sandy, I'd like to be with you. Whoa, grease lightning." And Sandy's like, "Nah, I ain't into it. You're a weird dork." Oh, but he fell in love with her via the pictures. If it was Sandra's body and Frederick's brain, then that would be Todd's perfect woman. Is this like an unintentional gay catfishing, or was Frederick actually into Todd, like he's kind of into Alan in a weird sidelong sort of way? I don't know if any of that's like sexual in motivation, but it could definitely be construed that way, couldn't it? OP says in the comments that Todd showed Frederick his dick at some point, so who knows if this was just all an elaborate scheme to see his favorite boy crush's wiener. You know what I mean? And I'd also like to know, how long of a time period did this take place over? I mean, this is a different world to me. You know what I mean? We didn't have Discord when I was in high school. We were all using AIM. And the worst I ever did with that was set up a botnet of like 80 bots so I could crash people. That was pretty cool, but never have I ever catfished another man in an attempt to get dick pictures. And I say that confidently. God, I don't know what's going on. But OP makes a good point, you know. None of us were our best selves in high school, so I'm glad Frederick's kind of getting it turned around, you know. He's holding down a job, which is nice. 420 blazing it, which is super sweet. I don't think I'd ever blaze it with him, but you know. I think it's pretty cool that he's gonna be remembered for all of time. Godspeed, Frederick, you beautiful catfishing bastard. Let's get into another one. Here's a post about baby neckbeards. But like I said, it's the neckbeard on the inside that counts. They're not old enough to grow a beard, but they're old enough to threaten somebody's life. After disassociating with a neckbeard, he threatens to kill my best friend. Jesus. Hello, I've been lurking this sub for the longest time, but never actually had the confidence to post here until now, lol. By the way, sorry if the formatting is a bit odd, I'm on mobile. So this situation lasted my entire middle school career, 6th to 8th grade. I was battling my fair share of mental health issues back then and was very antisocial. I wasn't popular and would really try to make friends with anyone who'd talk to me. I was and have been a pretty geeky, I hate using that word, girl, because of my interests in anime and gaming. I wasn't a full-on weeb, and if you didn't know me personally, you probably wouldn't suspect a thing, but I hung around with groups who had similar interests as me. So in comes A. A is a guy who shares my interests and is a typical band kid. He openly supported communism and the Nazi regime, which makes absolutely no sense because his mom was black. He spoke in a Ben Shapiro-esque voice and had the typical neckbeard odor. Jesus. I met A in my 6th grade history class and we were seated next to each other. We quickly became friends because of our shared interests. I brushed all of the warning signs under the rug because I was just happy to have a friend. He started to associate with my friend group and everything was going smoothly. Toward the end of the 6th grade, he confessed that he liked me. I didn't have the heart to outwardly reject him in fear of losing my friendship, so I just told him that I wasn't looking to date anyone at the moment. Big frickin' mistake. He then proceeded to ask me for nudes in exchange for a pizza. What? I declined and he kept harassing me for nudes. I should have cut him off then, but I decided that the whole situation wasn't going to be the last straw. Why? Entering 7th grade, everything just started to get worse. He loved to flaunt the fact that he had a body pillow of a lolly, and he started to smell even worse. Lollies, for those who don't know, are basically over-sexualized children. I only say the definition here so you don't have to Google it for yourself. Spare your eyes and your mind. Whenever I would wear shorts to school, he would tell me that I look like a slut and that I should cover up. The shorts were literally to my knees. One day I decided to wear my hair down to school for the first time. My hair's really thick and tends to get frizzy due to the humidity here, but I decided to straighten it and actually try a bit that day. I immediately get told by him in the morning that my hair looked awful and I should put it back up. I wasn't even dating this kid, he was just a His comments were a real blow to my confidence, so I just decided to put my hair back up for the rest of the day. On Valentine's Day, he bought me flowers and chocolates. I appreciated the sentiment, but everyone teased me for it. He gave me flowers the next year too, after I showed disinterest in him. 8th grade was when everything really went to I decided that I wanted to dress basic and attempt to socialize with new people, This was when the whole VSCO girl getup was popular, so I chose that aesthetic and ran with it. It's a horrible aesthetic, but you do you, I guess. I went the whole 9 yards. I even bought a hydro flask. I still use it today, lol. One day we were walking back from lunch, he unzips my backpack and throws my hydro flask on the concrete. This leaves a very obvious dent, and I am livid. I used my own money to buy that very expensive water bottle. I was very fed up with him at this point. And after that, I decided to cut him out of my life. Trying to get me to make pornography for a pizza? That's alright. Throwing my water bottle on the ground? That's it. It's over. He continued to attempt to speak with me and followed me around, but like, whatever. I asked him to just stop associating himself with me, but he refused. Once I stopped giving him the attention he wanted, he started hanging out with my other friend, E. E was friends with him prior to the incident and didn't cut him off as a friend. He confessed his love to her, and she rejected him. After this, he threatened to kill and rape her dead body. Her parents were very mad about this. You think? I reported him to the school. I was brought in to give my dirt to the school counselor, so I did. A was suspended for 3 or 4 days. I really forgot. A week later, he confessed his love to a different girl. None of us knew her personally, but guess what? She rejected him. He lied to everybody about dating her and continues to fake date her to this day. After the whole debacle, he tried to talk to me at the dreaded school dance, but I just ignored him. He succeeded in spreading some short-lived rumors about me and had all of my other neckbeard friends cut me off. What a loss. A few more notable incidents were when we were forced into mandatory clubs in the school, and we were both in the anime club. Nothing came of it, but he did call me a bitch a couple times and shoot me some dirty looks. Sorry if this is a bit long, lol. There's probably lots of stuff that I've forgotten and didn't touch on. I have tons of other stories about other neckbeards that I might end up posting here too. Didn't even do this on a throwaway because IDGAF. Kids are too fucking funny, man. This kid listened to one Jordan Peterson podcast in 6th grade and he's like, that's it. I know the way. I know the truth. I think a lot of kids say and do stuff kind of for shock value, you know what I mean? 6th to 8th grade, that's when I started getting into like my punk rock phase and stuff like that. And I never really directed that shock value at anyone in particular, but I could definitely see myself joking about killing somebody and raping them. Of course, that was back in like 2005-ish, so things were a lot less sensitive back then, I'll tell you that. Nowadays it's like, oh my god, you gotta come to school with a clear backpack and we're gonna send you to the psychiatrist and shit like that. Oh, you kids are soft, that's all I'm saying. But no shade though. A just seems like kind of a joke. I mean, nobody really knows what they want in 6th or 8th grade. Even the OP's like, oh, I just changed my style this year. It's like, yeah, you're trying to fit in. This kid's trying to fit in. I don't know why he decided he was a Nazi, even though his mom is black. But kids just go through a lot of changes, you know? So I can't rip them too hard. I was hella weird in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, so I do get it. That point in my life is a very vague memory now, but sometimes my brain brings it up from time to time, and I have to drown out the demons. Like, hey, remember that time in 7th grade when you zippity-doo-dah, zippity... Not listening, na-na-na-na-na. Anyways, let's get into that last story, and then I'm gonna get out of here. I know the episode's super long today, but I think that's alright. Game store creep grabs my butt. Lord. Hi, I've never posted to Reddit before, so I'm sorry for any errors I make. I have a younger sister who loves D&D. She and her friends have been playing it over Zoom during quarantine. She also recently hurt her foot and has to use crutches, and as a result can't find a lot to do in terms of moving around, which has been getting her down. So in an attempt to cheer her up, I went to her favorite game store to get her some new dice to surprise her. I don't know anything about D&D, but I know what kind of dice I'm looking for. So I walk into the store, and I'm almost immediately stared at by customers and some of the employees. I guess I don't look like I belong in a game store. I'm 17 and around 5'5", with green eyes and blonde hair that goes down to my waist. I was wearing my running shorts and a tank top. I'm pretty fit from hours of taekwondo and running that I do. A lot of my friends say I look like a Barbie doll. I personally don't think so. But despite all this, I'm secretly a huge nerd. I love Star Wars, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Star Trek, anything that has to do with the Avengers, and have watched a few animes. I ignore the looks and go over to the dice and am overwhelmed by the choices. One of the employees helps me find the ones that I was looking for and goes back to the register. Now, my logic when choosing the dice were to find the prettiest ones. I know it's shallow, but I was doing my best. I suddenly felt something looming over me. I turn around and see this specimen of a human. He looked to be in his 20s and was like 6 feet tall and probably 350 pounds. He had a greasy ponytail that was longer than mine, which is saying something. His skin was pale and looked like it had never seen the sun. He had a patchy beard that covered his neck. He had on anime shorts and a trench coat. It was at least 95 degrees that day, so I don't know why he chose to wear the coat. I shrink back, but try to be nice. This is the conversation that went down between OP and Neckbeard, M and NB. OP, oh, I'm sorry, am I in your way? Neckbeard,
I was just admiring the view, milady. You don't need to move.
He looks at my chest. I'm a pretty busty girl and I'm self-conscious about it, so I cross my arms over my chest. I'm an overly nice person, so I laugh and try to slip away as politely as possible, but he moves and blocks me. Neckbeard,
I see you're looking at dice. Do you partake in role-playing games?
OP, no. I'm actually getting these for my sister. She loves playing D&D. Neckbeard,
oh, well those are good for amateur players. Let me show you the superior dice.
He grabs my hand and takes the dice. I flinch and try to pull my hand away. I really don't like being touched because of past trauma. He manages to pry the dice out of my hands while I stand there shrinking into myself, trying to fight off the beginning stages of a panic attack. He grabs a container of dice off the shelf and hands it to me. I look at the dice and smile at the packaging that had a funny little cartoon T-Rex wearing a chef's hat next to the label that was a pun about pizza. Neckbeard takes this as permission to go behind me and guides me even further into the store to show me more D&D stuff out of view of the front counter with the employees. The entire time I'm trying to walk away without causing a scene, but then he grabs my waist and that makes me start to panic again. I push him away and ask him not to touch me and tell him that I have what I need so I can leave. He laughs and says
he'd be more than willing to pay for the dice in exchange for my Instagram.
His hand slides down and cups my butt. I shove him and book it for the front of the store to pay for the dice. I was so freaked out that I didn't say anything to the employee. I just said hi, thank you, took the dice and left. The employee did ask me if I was okay. I told him that I was fine because I just wanted to get out of there. Before I walked out, Neckbeard yelled to me,
I hope those dice serve you favorably.
Oh, the employee gives him a weird look and mouths, what the hell, to himself. I speed walk to my car, locking the door and driving to a store about half a mile away, making sure nobody followed me. I park and calm myself down. I had been to that game store several times before for other board games, and I had never experienced anything like that there. I know that I should have told the employees what happened, but to be honest, my brain wasn't working. It was just telling me to get out of there as soon as possible. When I got home, I calmed down and processed what happened. My sister was overjoyed about the dice and immediately was telling her friends about them. I did tell my mom and dad about what happened, but left out the fact that he touched me. My mother and father are the nicest people in the world, and they know I hate being touched without permission, and if I had told them these details, my mom would have been out for blood. They joked that Neckbeard had probably never seen or talked to a girl before, and probably wasn't used to seeing someone breathe through their nose. My mom also said that if I had punched him, she would have been cheering me on, and I cracked up. Not the craziest story, but I thought it was worth sharing. I have a few other stories if anyone wants to hear them. Now, I say this a lot in entitled parent stories, but press charges. Always press charges. Never not pressing of the charges. OP, you just gave him license to assault somebody else. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty about that, but if that's what it takes to motivate you into pressing charges against these friggin' weirdos, then that's what I gotta say. You're probably not the first, you're probably not gonna be the last. And I think creeps like this are the reason that a lot of women don't feel welcome in gaming circles, you know what I mean? And it's a sad thing because I know a lot of chicks do enjoy like tabletop gaming, stuff like that. I dated a girl named Liza for a while. I'm not gonna say her first name, but in high school I dated a girl named Liza. I took her to my favorite nerd den for some Fallout pen and paper roleplay, which is just the best roleplay, better than DND because they use D percentiles, which is just infinitely better than D20s. But she had a great time, got involved in the campaign. I basically played as a robot, so I didn't have to show up, and once we broke up, because it was high school, you know, it didn't last very long, I did stop showing up, and she was basically not physically assaulted, but there were a couple of other dudes in that role-playing group that tried to move in for the kill, so to speak, and made her feel unwelcome, which I did feel bad about. Not enough to go kick anybody's ass because nobody was physically assaulted, but it did kind of make me see it from a woman's perspective and be like, okay, well, I can only play these games if my boyfriend is there. That seems kind of shit, doesn't it? So I'm sure that this guy will get what's coming sooner rather than later, but I think that you should probably be a part of that, OP. Definitely tell the employees, tell the cops. It's basically sexual assault. And if you really don't want to get involved, then, you know, be firm but polite and get yourself out of the situation. I don't need help, thank you. Thank you, goodbye, goodbye, excuse me, goodbye. You know, just maybe that's a little too aggressive, because you don't really want to piss a creep off, but there's definitely ways to get yourself out of the situation. I also think it has to do with being 17, you know? I don't think I was as boisterous or able to stand up for myself at 17, so maybe it comes with time. But in summation, I am sorry that happened to you, OP. You definitely didn't deserve that. You're just trying to do a nice thing for your sister and this fucking creep comes out of nowhere. Ugh. You hate to see it. I could send you some pepper spray if you want. Depending what state you're in, it might be legal. Maybe. Thank you so much for listening along with me today. I hope you like, comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy this extra beefy Neckbeard episode. And I did it because it's the 4th, and I love you, and I love America. And I love neckbeards and entitled parents. I hope you check out the links in the description to Twitter, Discord, Patreon. Ooh! There's a giveaway for a train game going on the Discord, and as far as Patreon goes, I would like to thank all my lovely patrons: Robert Waits, Dot Nathan, Crimson Albedo, Lady Nix, Radimus Cisco, Damon Darkstar, and the OG, Nico, the Legend. We will be having some creepypasta readings tomorrow. If you'd like a taste of the $5 Patreon tier, you can join up in the Discord and get that $5 tier prize tomorrow absolutely for free. That you can see if you like it, see if it's worth paying for, or even if you just want to support the channel. That'd be cool too. But anyways, friends, this has been rSlash I'll see you guys again tomorrow for some rSlash entitled parents, or maybe tomorrow and a half. You know, I do like every 1 to 2 days, but people seem to be enjoying this like weeaboo nice guy neckbeard cringe content, so I'm gonna roll that up with entitled parents, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it grows. But anyways, keep yourself safe out there. Please wear your masks. Please wash your hands. And always remember that you are loved, you are valued, and you most definitely deserve it. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, friends, bye-bye.